Please, you want to do it?
No, I'm doing something.
Jesus Christ. Is it starting? Okay, so that's 1, 2, and then show yourself 2, 3. Okay, so now we're gonna start. So I have a question for you guys. If someone were to get pulled over and a cop were to find about a personal use of cocaine, heroin, or meth on them, how much time do you think they're gonna spend in jail? Well, if you're in Oregon, 0. So today I'm going to talk about Oregon's solution for America's drug problem. So hopefully today you'll learn a little bit more about the law in Oregon and all of its benefits and that. So today we're going to talk about the law itself, Oregon's law, its previous success in Portugal, and then all of its benefits. So we're going to start with the law. So hopefully you know that America has a huge drug problem, like it's huge, and especially with heroin and opioids. So most people who had been on opioids, about 80% of all heroin users were prescribed opioids, and they got hooked on that and switched over to heroin. And it's a big problem throughout the United States. It's affecting thousands of people. And basically, I'm going to talk mostly about heroin because this law applies to cocaine, meth, other hard drugs, and heroin. But I'm just mostly talking about heroin just due to the correlation to opioids. So when you use heroin, just by the use, you use it through a needle. So that can lead to viral infections such as HIV, hepatitis B and C, and blood infections, which can be deadly. And pair that with its overdose percentage, it's killer. And so Oregon's solution to this drug problem is to decriminalize drugs. So once you get caught with a personal amount, so like a small amount, they would either make you pay $100 in fines or make you take a health assessment. And that health assessment could lead to treatment for you. And that's backed by the marijuana industry in Oregon. So it's not coming out of taxpayers' money. And this isn't the first time this has come out. This isn't new. It's actually been implemented in Portugal. So now we'll talk about that. So Portugal by itself has a similar problem like us, or at least used to. In the 2000s, they implemented the same type of thing. They decriminalized drugs because about 50% of all people in the prison system were on drugs or were there because of drugs or drug-related crimes. And because of their whole solution, they made these outreach centers all across Portugal where they would give out fresh, sterile needles, tinfoil, and psychological help. And it does 2 things. First off, it gets rid of any possible chance of them getting infectious diseases, like HIV, hepatitis B and C, like I just mentioned. And then it gets rid of that doubt that they have that no one wants to help me because they're seeing people helping other people and they feel safe coming out and asking for treatment. And ever since Portugal has done this, they had, first off, more people in drug treatments, about 60% rise. They had less death due to drugs, and they had lower cases of HIV, which is obviously a direct correlation to heroin. And they also been trying, well, as of recently, they've been trying to make safe spaces where people could use drugs in a supervised space. So in case something does happen, if they do overdose, someone will be there to help. And obviously, Portugal isn't the United States, but there is data there and it is working. So we should obviously take notes. And now that we know more about the law and its previous success in Portugal, we'll talk about the benefits. So again, it does help have less death across the United States because of the overdosing thing. And a lot of people who do use heroin, use other drugs, and that combination, again, be killer. So while making less people die is a big plus, it also puts less people in prison because a lot of people go to prison just for small amounts of whatever. So addiction can put you in prison for a long time. Originally, I think for Oregon, it's up to 10 years or $100,000 in fines, which is a lot. So I could also save money from prosecuting the criminal to putting them in jail and having them stay there for a long time. So I could save some money. And then it could help clear the relationship between minorities and drug use, which is a big thing, especially now. And after it gets implemented, it could be a really big thing because people will see what it does and people get more attracted to it because they're seeing the progress and how it works, and more addicts who are hidden will come forth and seek treatment. So if you haven't really seen already, this is a new thing. Oregon's gonna be a testing ground for this, And Oregon's trying to make this heroin and slash drug problem, instead of a crime issue, a health issue, which is like a new way to look at it. And again, I'm just talking about heroin because it's the bigger issue, or like the most scary drug. But again, pertains to cocaine, meth, and other hardcore drugs. So just to sum it all up, Oregon just recently made a new law where they decriminalize hard drugs. And instead of serving time in jail, you just have to pay a fine of $100 or take a health assessment, where again, you could be treated for it. Or if it's like Portugal, you could safely take your drugs and hopefully you get, some treatment and lose the addiction. It is huge because, again, a large amount of heroin users will have taken opioids, and that's a big crisis. In Portugal, we've seen lower HIV cases, lower death due to drugs, and we've seen more people in drug treatment programs, so that's a big plus. So hopefully we can see that in the US if it does get implemented. And this law could decrease the amount of people in prison, and again, save costs from convicting them and putting them in prison, and get rid of that relationship between those minorities and drug use, which is, again, very, very huge. And if anyone had any questions about the bad side, like those people who have a large amount with intent to sell, don't worry, those people are starting to get in trouble. This is for people with addictions and doesn't refer to them, so they're not going to get a slap on the wrist. And those who have worries that it might spread more because there's no punishment, there's no evidence to back that claim, so that's not really an issue. And again, this is a very significant law because Oregon's to be the testing ground for this, and it's also pretty exciting to see we switching perspectives from crime issue to health issue, and it's kind of exciting to see whether or not this is going to work out and whether this could be the solution to America's drug problem. I just want all of you to be aware of the pros of this. Thank you.